I'm going to do 4 sample problems for you, and I want you to take notes on all 4 of them, and then I want you to do the problems that I post in the picture next to this video for homework. So our notes for this video, we're going to do 4 different types of problems. The first one is distribution. Okay, so we're taking a look at distribution. And I just want to practice it with you because some of you are still making mistakes. So our first problem about distribution is -3 times the quantity x minus 2 minus 4 plus x minus 3. Okay? Now the best thing that I can tell you to do, instead of just starting to solve, would be to rewrite this original equation showing that we don't subtract in algebra. So I'm going to rewrite it, changing all of my subtraction signs. And the reason I rewrite it is because I don't want to mess up my original problem. As soon as I mess up my original problem, I have errors trying to figure out where I go wrong. So I rewrote this. Now there is one part that is huge that you need to remember, that this subtraction really means that you are adding a -1, and that this -1 is the thing that gets distributed to the different parts of your parentheses. The only reason we use distribution is because we can't solve what's inside the parentheses. Okay? So again, all I did in this line here was go from here to this line is I changed all of my subtractions to adding the opposite so that I could do my math better. Now I'm going to distribute. I cannot add x plus -2. They are not alike. So I must distribute my -3 to both pieces. So -3 times x is -3x plus a -3 times a -2 is a +6. Then I have my addition sign, and now I have to distribute that -1. -1 times 4 is -4. Plus a -1 times that x is a -x, plus I have that -3. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to start with my x's because I know that in algebra I have to write my x's first. So I have a -3x and a -x. And when you add them together, you get a -4x. And then I have a 6. So I have a plus a 6 plus a -4 plus a -3. And now there's nothing else to combine to that -4x, so I'm going to leave it. And now I'm going to do my math. I have a +6, and basically I have a -7. So if I have a +6 plus a -7, I really have a -1. And this becomes my final answer. Okay, that was problem number 1. We're going to do another one. We're going to do absolute value. Now, all of these 4 types of problems that I'm sampling for you are going to be on your homework questions. So make sure that you write down your notes clearly so that you can use them for your samples. So my second problem is absolute value, and I'm going to say -2 times the absolute value of -10 plus 3 minus 4 times the absolute value of -17 minus the absolute value of -2. Okay? And so, according to GEMDAS, I have to do what's inside my grouping symbols first. I cannot distribute into a grouping symbol. I have to solve what's inside. So what's inside is this guy, and these guys. Okay, so I'm going to do those first. So I'm going to write my -2. I'm going to write my absolute value sign, and I'm going to solve what's in the middle. -10 plus 3 is a -7. Then I'm going to change this negative sign to an adding a -4, and I'm going to do what's inside my absolute value sign. There's nothing that I can do to this guy, so I'm going to leave him until I'm ready to take him out, and I'm going to write the next one because there's nothing to combine inside of this absolute value of -17. So I'm just going to write them, and now I'm going to take them out of their absolute value signs. This is a -2 times, and I'm going to take it out. The absolute value of -7 is 7. Plus -4 times, and the absolute value of -17 is 17, minus, and the absolute value of -2 is 2. And now, according to GEMDAS, I've done my grouping symbols, but you remember GEMDAS, we have to do our exponents next. There are none. Cross it off. Now I have to do all multiplication and division in a left to right fashion. So this is multiplication. I have to do it. Negative 2 times 7 is negative 14 plus, and this is a negative 4 times the 17. So over here I'm going to come do my math. 4 times 7 is 28. Carry my 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So my answer is 68, but it's negative because a negative times a positive is a negative. Minus a 2. And I'm going to change this to adding a negative 2. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. I have a negative 14 and a negative 68. So over here I'm going to do 68 plus 14. They're both negative, so I'm adding them together. 4 plus 8 is 12. Carry my 1. 6 plus 2 is 8. So I have negative 82 plus that negative 2. And negative 82 plus negative 2 is negative 84. And this becomes, my final answer. Okay, I'm going to do 2 more problems. These ones are solving for x. Okay, so I'm solving for x. In my first problem, I have x divided by 4 equals 28. Now, I have to rewrite this so that I can understand what's happening here. Right now, x is being broken into 4 little pieces. We don't want that. We want to get rid of that 4, but we have to know what to do and we have to show our steps correctly. So I'm going to write this piece in a new way. That is really 1/4 times x equals 28. Now, if I have 1/4 times x and I want to get rid of the 1/4, I use the inverse property of multiplication. So that means I multiply by the reciprocal. Or you could divide. You could say I want to divide by 1/4. 1/4 divided by 1/4 is still 1. So I'm going to do it this way because this is what most of you guys do. And then I'm going to show it to you the other way. Okay? So 1/4 divided by 1/4 makes a 1. So I'm left with x equals 28 divided by 1/4. And we don't divide by fractions. We multiply by the reciprocal. So this is 28 times 4 over 1. And 28 times 4 over 1, I have to do my math. 28 times 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Whoops, I wrote it wrong. 2. Carry my 3. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. So this is 112 is my final answer. Now, I'm going to do it a different way to show you how you can use the inverse property of multiplication. So I have x over 4 equals 28. And again, I write it as 1/4 times x. And I'm looking for this step on your tests. Okay, so I want you to show this step and I want you to practice it. The inverse property of multiplication says, don't divide by a fraction. That's silly. Multiply by its reciprocal. And if you do it to one side, you do it to the other side. And now you can see that this becomes 4 over 4. And 4 over 4 is 1. So this guy's crossed out. You're left with an x. And if you multiply by the reciprocal on one side, you do it to the other. So 28 times 4, which we already did the math over here, so is 112. And this is my final answer. Okay, and it saves you all of these crazy steps down here, okay, by multiplying by the reciprocal. Now I'm going to do one more problem. It's another solving for x problem, but this time the x is on the bottom. Okay, so this time the x is on the bottom, and so we have to see what this means. This really means 1x times 3. Huh, that's weird. Do I want 1x or do I want 1 divided by x? Well, I really want my x to be a whole x, not this little fraction thing. So this is what this problem means. So we have to look at what we have to do. So what I really want to do is I really want to multiply by an x. I want my x to be a whole x. So if I multiply by x on this side, because it's on the bottom, and I multiply by x over 1, which is the reciprocal, I can do it to the other side. And now you can see that this becomes x over x times 3. And x over x is a 1. So I'm left with a 3 equals 27x. Well, now this looks more like a problem that you're used to. And in order to get this x alone, you divide, because it's 27 times x, you divide by 27. And 27 divided by 27 gives you that 1. You're left with an x. And if you divide one side by 27, you divide the other. So 27 is really 3 times 9. Got your equivalent form of 1. So you're left with 1/9. And so 1/9 equals x. And of course, you should always check it to make sure. You should check all of your solving for x problems. Your original problem is 3 divided by x equals 27. So I'm going to throw my x value back in. So I'm going to say, here it is, 1/9, and I want to put it right there. So I'm going to say 3 divided by 1/9 equals 27. And I'm going to do this math. 3 divided by 1/9 looks like this. It's still equal to that 27. We're just bringing the 27 all the way down. You can write it if you want. Let's just see what happens to the left side. Well, we don't divide by a fraction. We multiply by the reciprocal. So 3 times 9 is 27, and it worked out just fine. And so our check proved that we did it correctly. Okay, so there are problems posted next to this video. Make sure that you do them, show all your work, and I would highly recommend checks.